Welcome to ACT Fitness Radio, the podcast teaching you to aspire, conquer, and transform your body and mind. Here's your host, Adam Castro.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Adam Castro, and I'm here with Jaylene.
Hey!
And you're listening to ACT Fitness Radio, Whittier's #1 fitness podcast, and we've got an awesome treat for you today, especially if you're thinking about doing a Spartan race or a Tough Mudder race or an OCR race, any kind of race involving obstacles and potentially mud and potentially a lot of running.
Hence OCR.
That's right. We have Bill Brumbach, co-founder of BROCR Media. And, you know, as you would assume, he's such a bro. Such a bro. Such a pleasure to talk with. We had a great time in this podcast. Really fun.
You're awesome.
Really good conversation. And we even go a little bit into the specifics of the Spartan sport, some of the athletes that are in the sport.
Yeah.
And so this is going to have great information for you if you're a beginner. Great information if you're looking at what kind of gear you want to use, what kind of races you should be doing, how you should be preparing for it. But it's also going to have really good conversation regarding all of the specifics going on in the competition going on right now for OCR and specifically the Spartan Race. So I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. You can find Bill Brumbach at his Instagram, Bill Brumbach OCR, and that's a BILLBRUMBACH OCR. And then also you guys should be following his business's Instagram page, BROCR Media, and that is just BROCRM Media. So, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Here is Bill Brumbach from BROCR Media.
Woo!
You guys have been doing this for how many years, going over to these OCR races and talking to the athletes?
Like 4 to 5 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When did you guys start doing that? Why did you guys start doing that? What birthed BROCR here?
We just, honestly, it kind of started as a joke. We were just killing time, like, 'cause we ran the Elite Wave at a race in Indiana, like the local Indiana Spartan Sprint. And I was going to do another lap with, like, some friends of mine, like, from church, and we were just waiting on them to get there, and they were caught in, race day traffic, because that's normal. So we just grabbed our phones out and started, like, interviewing people. And it just how it happened that that was when Amelia lived in Chicago, so she came down and did the sprint, and Bracken was there, and a few other, like, recognizable names, and we were just interviewing people, like, kind of goofing off, and we put it together and posted it on Facebook, and it was very well received, and we just thought, we found something. No one's doing videos. No one's doing, like, quick snippet interviews. They're doing, like, long, like, podcasts, so we found, like, a niche, and we kind of went with it. So that's, like, kind of how it started back in, like, 2014 or 15. I forget when we started it specifically, but I know it was around that time.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I think the athletes probably were looking for people to go and talk with them, because if you're an athlete in a sport that's kind of like growing, it's not necessarily on TV, every single year. I think the athletes are like, hey, I have a story to tell. I have my opinion about how this race went. I want somebody to hear it,
Oh, absolutely, and that's one of the best things. Like, so, we talk with, like, the high-level athletes, but we talk with, like, the everyday athlete, too, and it's just amazing some of the stories that we've heard about how people got into racing and, like, their own personal obstacles, and that's stuff that, like, no one was really covering. And I was like, well, this is something that we could do. So we just, like, we went with it, and it's been one of the most rewarding experiences to hear these stories and to just, like, get that little, like, uplifting spirit at the end of the day. So it's definitely helped us, like, keep doing it. Like, we've never become tired of it.
Yeah.
And we've always said, like, if it ever becomes a job, or if it ever becomes, like, just not fun, we're not going to do it anymore. So
yeah, that's funny.
What we try to focus on, is just having fun and telling people stories.
That's crazy how it started off as a joke, and look at it now. It's always amazing to see things
exactly.
like that.
And we've even seen, I was scrolling through this week and looking at, is it Leah or Leah? What part of your team? Leah. And she's going on and giving some tips as far as OCR the lube for the feet and for the body and stuff, and that is just super helpful for people who don't know these tricks, who don't know, and honestly, YouTube doesn't even have a lot of resources for that yet. OCR and the resources for tips and interviews and just kind of shedding illumination on what is going on in the sport, period. There's just not a lot of insight yet.
Absolutely. And that's something that we've kind of done from the very beginning is we could do pro tip. And so we just there are a lot of obstacles people have never seen before. They don't know how to get through them. So we try to give them different techniques. We were one of the first people to post videos of how to do twister backwards.
Oh,
and
gosh.
that helped a lot of people out.
Yeah.
Kevin Donahue didn't even know how to do it. We're like, Kevin, this is how you do it. And Ryan Kent, he was having trouble with doing twister. And I was like, Ryan, I just sent him the video of us doing it backwards. Do this in West Virginia. And he did it for the first time in West Virginia, and he got on the podium. That was a big race.
I remember.
Not to say that, we helped him get on the podium, but we kept him from doing 30 burpees while he was chasing down Robert Killer.
Absolutely, yeah. And we even saw on the Spartan YouTube channel, because they are. I feel like Spartan YouTube channel could probably do a little bit more with their channel, but they do have those tutorials on how to do some of those exercises. And when they had done the twister first, they had shown you going forward, and then later on they actually updated and said a lot of people have figured out that when you do it backwards it's a little better. So you guys were the ones who started that.
Yeah, and so Jody I does a great service for Spartan Race. I posted those videos, and so if he mirrors what we've done, if he puts it through a wider audience, and that's great. We don't care. We love to help the sport out and help the community out. And Jody I is he's first and foremost, he's director of sport for Spartan Race. So when he picks up on stuff that we're putting out there and he does the same thing, I was like, that's just, it's a great boost for us. We feel great about it. We kind of help this become a thing in OCR. So yeah, they do a great job. And YouTube is a very interesting medium for OCR because a lot of people don't really go to it. But the videos that you post on Instagram and Facebook, those are the videos that are going to get a lot of traction and a lot of views from people in OCR. But for whatever reason, just people don't use YouTube a whole lot. We thought about switching over and doing more YouTube videos, but there's just not a market for it right now.
I was wondering that as well, because I feel like YouTube is the place where you go to search for how-tos. If someone's searching for how do I do this and they're sick and tired of looking at wiki pictures, then they'll go go onto YouTube and see someone actually do it. Whereas with Facebook, you really can use and utilize the eye-catching, that's the athlete that I know, I'm going to watch this video. Or, hey, that looks really cool, I'm going to watch this video. That dude looks crazy, I'm going to watch this video. Because you're scrolling through and you're looking at all these pictures. And so, yeah, you can definitely see a little bit more of content when you're scrolling through a social media platform like that.
Absolutely. And with Instagram's ability to use hashtags and searching and whatnot, the only thing that you're limited to is you have a maximum of 60 seconds for your videos. And that's what allows us to keep our link up in our bios. If you want to see this, more of the videos, check the link in the bio and go there and watch the full interviews. We've actually got a Bro Tip Pro Tip we're going to probably this week since Chicago Super's coming up, and that's a big race, about how to do bender and how to do it faster than probably what a lot of people are doing.
Oh, okay. So you guys are interviewing people. I even saw that you guys are interviewing businesses as well as that wellness facility, Abbey Wellness. That's a recent interview, right?
That's a very recent interview, and they kind of reached out to me through Instagram, and it's full of stuff that, as athletes, people either already incorporated into their daily or to their their training regimen for recovery. But it's also stuff that I've been curious about, and they're just come test out a facility, do some social media posts. I'll do it better. We'll just do a spa day, and we'll do all the stuff, and we'll post it and get you guys some content and let you see it. And then we did a gym promotion for Just Go Lift in Southern California. And that was a fun day too, where we were just having fun shooting, and it's just it's us having fun with people and helping their business grow. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do. We want to help people be successful. We don't turn a profit at BROCR. We're the closest thing to a 501c3 that you can get. We want to help other people out. That's our main goal, is to give back to the community and help other people who could use a little boost and some exposure. And we never ask for anything in return.
That's really awesome. As you're interviewing all these different people, and you know what, the really cool thing, and you had even mentioned this, there's not a lot of sports where someone can have such an amazing story and it be so related to them going through the course, like them overcoming these obstacles, them overcoming these things. Like if you're at the low level of basketball, not very many people are going to want to follow your story. But it seems like with Spartan Race, whether you're in the elite heat or whether you're in the age group or whether you're in the open or, whether you're someone who's in the very back and has no fitness level and they're just like, I know I can overcome this. This is my chance to prove it to myself that I can do something more than what I'm doing right now. Like each and every one of those people has an insane story. What are some of the similarities that you guys have seen between someone in the open and someone in the elite level that kind of that unifies every single OCR? I'm saying Spartan just because I've specifically done a lot of Spartans, but OCR and just all of OCR. What are some of the things that you've seen as similar to the beginner entry level obstacle course racer and even the elite?
I mean, I think that the most important thing, and this is going to sound very cliche, it's just people overcoming their obstacles. Like, it's their own internal obstacles. Like, and this can go, and I'm going to use an analogy, and I hope he doesn't mind, like Ryan Kemp last year. Like, throughout his entire racing career, he had, like, this great potential to be, like, this great athlete, and he would, like, win the smaller races, and he'd get on the national circuit, and he would, like, not do so well. He had, like, maybe one good race, like, a few years ago, and now he has just exploded onto the scene. Like, he wins second place in West Virginia. He wins Seattle. He's just, like, tearing it up this year. He had an underperformance in Big Bear, and that's going to happen, but I expect him to rebound in Chicago this weekend. But he just had to get out of his own mind. He was overtraining. He was just not doing something he was well suited for. He completely revamped his training in the offseason, and he just comes out this year, and he's on fire. And then you have people who are in, like, the open ways, and they're coming from, like, completely sedentary backgrounds. Just, like, sitting behind a desk all day, like, depressed, overweight. And so they're just, like, getting out there and they're taking that first step and they're just dramatically changing their lives and for the better. And to see them, like, to see how happier they are and to see how, like, more enjoyment they have in life. Like, not even just on the course, but, like, how, like, I see stories about people, like, I can play with my kids now. I have energy to play with my kids, or I don't get, like, winded walking upstairs, and it feels great, and I look better. I found a wife, or I found a husband, or something like that, because, like, I'm starting to take care of myself. It's those things, like, so it transcends the elite level athlete to the open wave athlete, and that's what I think is totally different about obstacle course racing compared to, like, triathlon or running or cycling or any other sport, is that it's the same thing. It's people overcoming something internally that has kept them from hitting that next level and seeing them succeed. That's the biggest thing for me.
And it's totally the community, right? Like, there's community in cycling, there's community in triathlon racing, but specifically with OCR racing, the community is like no other. There's so much support. There's so much. There's just so much people pushing you past those internal obstacles and then past the physical obstacles, right? And people are all the better for it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, like, I come from, like, road running background, and I've even talked with people who, like, spent time doing, like, like competitive track running, and they're like, this is unlike any other community where everyone is just so supportive, and, like, it's just like they want to be, like, your best friend almost immediately, and, like, just people just, like, taken back by how awesome the community is. And whenever you have that support system built in, that it's not just, like, it's the elite level and it's the age group and it's the open ways, and everyone's supporting one another in their goals and, like, becoming, like, better and, like, continually improving. Totally. That's something that I don't think you're going to see in any other sport, which sets OCR apart entirely.
It's true, and it's not divisive, right? Like you said, I mean, the elites are supporting those who are in the open and in the age group, and everyone's just so supportive of each other. And
the elites even support the elites. Like, the elites all support each other. They're like, hey, bring your A game, and I'm going to bring mine. I know. Hunter likes to talk a lot of crap sometimes, but but I think even he's pretty a good team player when it comes to bringing people together and knowing that, hey, we're all just, competing and bringing our best product forward. Yeah.
And Hunter's a great example of someone who will talk trash, but then he gets down to business on the race course. But at the heart of Hunter McIntyre, he's a great guy. He's personable. He cares about other people. He loves the camaraderie. He does these bro camps all the time, at his place. So he enjoys the community just as much. And I totally agree with you. It's such a great community and just so supportive of one another, at all levels. And you're right. The elites are the same way too. Hugging. There's not there's no real beef between the top level athletes. Yeah, there are people who are competing for money. But at the end of the day, they're all good friends.
Yeah.
And I think even as we've talked about the relationship between the open people and the age group people and the elite people, it's really cool to see a sport to where you are having all of these people potentially all on the same course and could pass each other at the same time as you're racing. I remember one of the first races that I did. And one of the first races that I had done, I heard someone in front of me. There was a girl coming up behind me, and I guess if you're starting out in OCR and you're going to be in line with one of the girl heats, especially the elite heats, then you should expect at least on your first races to get passed up by a girl.
Absolutely, you should. Be ready. Be ready to get chipped.
Yeah, be ready. And I heard someone say wait, I think it was Rhea. Way to go, Rhea! Keep going, you can do it. And they're encouraging her. And I was like, who is this? And who is this person that everybody knows and is cheering for? And that was when I started diving a little bit more into who's actually in this sport, who are the top level athletes here, and who are you? What girls are going to end up passing you up? And Rhea's definitely one of them. Rhea's doing amazing this season. She's on fire for the women's side, right?
She absolutely is. I am just amazed by how she's able to race as much as she does, and how she's able to cover all the different distances. She's getting ready to run a 52K sky running course at Squaw Valley in Lake Tahoe, California, and she just won the Midwest toughest mudder a couple weekends ago. And for that, she was racing in Big Bear, California. I honestly don't think that Rhea Coble is human. I think she's just a machine.
And she runs like a machine. Jaylene and I were both watching I think it was the San Jose, or it was either San Jose or Seattle. It might have been San Jose, but we were watching one of the races, and I think it's been said multiple times. Someone like Faye Standing, when she runs, she is fighting the whole way through. She is pushing her body to the limit from the start line to the finish line, and she's just going. Rhea seems like she runs with such efficiency. She is just this efficient machine that just moves uphill, downhill. It doesn't look like she struggles when it really doesn't look like she's struggling while she's running out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. There
are absolutely three runners on the women's side who have just impeccable running form, and they just look completely effortless. And that is Nicole Miracle, Rhea Coble, and Lindsay Webster. Those two girls, those three girls are hauling ass, and it does not even look like they are because their running form is so great. Now, Faye is just a powerful runner. That's just the way how she's always attacked the running courses. But she's comfortable at that pace and looking like she is just hurting. But that's just the way that she runs. And more power to her. You always hear something coming up on you. There's no mistaking that that's her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a freight train. Faye is a freight train.
And that just speaks to she has to push herself that much in order to be in that comfort zone, in order for her to be in that zone, for her to be able to win her races, for her to be able to get, what does she get? Second place now for the last couple races?
She's consistently finished second at all three of the NBC races. I'm sorry, they're no longer NBC races, but the U.S. Championship Series races. And I honestly think, and I've said this before, this coming weekend in Chicago, it's going to be pretty much a horse race between Nicole Miracle and Faye Stenning. This course is designed for them. It's flat. It's fast, and I just think we're gonna see. Like, I know Nicole's gonna be there to put a spoiler. She's out of the championship series from where she missed the first 2 races with a bum hamstring. But I honestly see Faye and Nicole like battling this one out the entire time. It's going to be a very flat, fast course. And like, let's just like, I gave the example about Ryan Kent. Let's talk about Faye spinning for a little bit. She overcame her own little sophomore slump last year. She exploded on the scene 2 years ago, came in second at World Championships, had an underperforming year last year, and she changed some things in her training this year, and she's on fire as well this year. Like, I think she's going to get that win in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm pulling for her. Like, she's a good friend of mine. I always enjoy watching Faye do well, and Nicole, and I like to see all the girls do well personally, because a lot of them are my friends as well. But I feel like this is Faye's race, and you know, someone's got to take it from her.
You're turning us into an OCR podcast here, bro.
My bad. I'm sorry.
No, it's a good thing. I you know, part of what you had talked about earlier about the different media platforms that you guys are able to take advantage of. So definitely Instagram, definitely Facebook, maybe not YouTube, but I definitely think there would be a demand for a BROCR podcast, honestly.
Yeah. Agreed.
We have heard that before, and it is just a matter of getting Jacob to stop being lazy and to finally get us a hosting website so we can. Cause we've actually recorded podcasts before, and it just never seemed a lot of day because we just haven't pulled the trigger on a host. And so yeah, it's all on Jacob. I'm blaming Jacob, and I know he's listening to this whenever it does air. So Jacob, it's your fault. Stop being lazy.
No, but that's a good thing too. Like we use BROCR, and there's a bunch of really, really good hosts out there, and it's like you're putting all of your product on one place to be held there, and you could transfer it in the future. But yeah, you want to make sure that it's a good hosting site to make sure that you're able to edit everything you need to edit. And yeah,
I'm curious to know. Tell us what your first race was like for you.
Yeah.
My very first Spartan race, I swore I'd never do one again. I did it with my wife, and we did the local Indiana sprint. Kind of jumped in around like 11 or 1 o'clock. We'd gotten this. I was like, it won't take us that long. It's only like 3 to 5 miles. Whatever, we're fine. 3 hours later. Because we had it was just like caked in mud, like almost impassable in places, and I've got to like make sure my wife doesn't, slip and break her ankle or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I had never I hadn't been involved in trail running. I'd only been involved in road running at that point. I just thought, this will be a fun way to take a weekend off before a race that I had been training for, like a road race. And I was like, that was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my entire life. My wife was like, I'm never doing one of these again. And I'm like, I agree with you. This is dumb. And then I thought about it, and I was like, don't be a bitch. You're going to do these, and you're going to do them. You're going to do them competitively. So I started doing competitively after training all winter. And, so I honestly, I hated Spartan Race. And then it's just it's that love that grew over time. It just blossomed. And I can't quit it, and I'll never quit it. I'll always be Spartan through and through because it's got the level of competition that I want. It's got some of my best friends are on the circuit.
Yeah,
I can't desert and go not see them for an entire year or however long. So I'll be Spartan through and through as long as the race exists or as long as I'm living and breathing.
So how long after your first one did you do another one? How long did you wait until you did another one?
Only because the winters are very harsh in Indiana, so I didn't do one until almost a year later.
Wow. Okay.
So I had there wasn't one another one within close driving distance to Indianapolis. There was just that one that was an hour away.
Yeah.
So I waited, and I convinced my wife to take a mini vacation to Miami, Florida, to go. That was back when they had the Super Weekend. I'm dating myself. So they had a Super on Saturday and Super on Sunday, which is very hard to pull 8 to 10 couples out in Miami.
Yeah.
So we did that, and I was like, I remember just being destroyed again. I was like, I'm not going back Sunday, and then I ended up going back Sunday and doing racing Sunday as well. I don't know if you can call what I was doing then racing. And just spent 2014 kind of learning the ropes and how to be on the elite circuit and learning that bucket carries suck.
Oh, yeah.
Along with double sandbag carries. And I needed to work on my grip strength. Those are all things that I learned that first year. Found Yancey Culp and he kind of helped me find some good training programs through his Yancey camp.
Oh, yeah.
And 2015 was a much better year for me because I finally learned how to do all those things that were foundations for Spartan Race.
Did your wife continue with you, or she was just done after that first one?
She was done. Like, she went and she watched me. She watched me in 2015 in the SoCal race in Temecula.
Okay.
And so she watched me do the Beast on Saturday, and it's like, I'm going to do the sprint on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can get you like a race code. I'll get you, and you can do it. And then she quickly changed her mind when I reminded her, like, you've done this before. Like, I know you have a memory. And she was like, I'll just cheer you on Sunday. I'll just cheer you on. I was like,
no, it's all good. You go do your thing.
Yeah.
You go do your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Truth be told, I really didn't do this the right way. My first race was it was in 2017, last year. And it was the Spartan Race in Lake Elsinore. I did the sprint. I did not do the super. I was like, all right, let me start off with the sprint. And Lake Elsinore, I guess, was really, really flat. I don't really remember a single hill. And I finished, and I was, same experience for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this was super hard. I can't, it sucks to do burpees and then have to run right after. And these obstacles are crazy. And I brought gloves with me, and I kind of learned. I don't know what your opinion is on gloves and stuff, but I kind of learned I enjoy having gloves when I have to do burpees. But other than that, I don't feel like I need them all the time. But I had gone down for my first set of burpees and didn't I don't know if this is just something you're supposed to know, and I was just stupid at the moment, but I'll go down for my burpees and I did not look at what I was going down to, and there was like wood chips everywhere on the ground, and so I go down and I just start my burpees, and I'm like, shit, and but I ended up finishing just a little over an hour, and feeling like
for a sprint.
Yeah, no, and I felt pretty good about it, and I was like, oh wow, like I had fun. I feel like I can do this. I want to try another one. So I went from the Lake Elsinore sprint to the Monterey Super, and that sucked. That sucked so bad. And Jaylene was didn't go on this race, but she saw me afterwards, and I was just like, he
was thrashed.
I was done. Like I had no life in my body. I had to like lay down and pass out, and someone had to feed me Fit Aid. And
that's how that happened.
But I feel like what I did do was just really try to take in as much information as possible after all of these races. Like Jaylene and I ended up getting memberships at a rock climbing gym to focus on strength and honestly to focus on the mentality of tackling an obstacle. Because when you go rock climbing, it feels like that, every single route is an obstacle and you got to figure it out in the moment. So it's a great opportunity for that. Yeah. But then my third race was the Big Bear Beast.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So, truth be told, I didn't do this the very best way. I didn't start off slow. I went straight for the big rocks there. Mm-hmm. But the beginning of that race, I was with a group because they wanted me to go with them, and and I ended up leaving that group just because. I feel like it was not like set in stone that I was going to stay with them. It wasn't set in stone or anything. It was just like, hey, do you want to run with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's all go. Yeah. But it was a really big group, and I did want to test my fitness a little bit on this Beast course, and like. 2 hours in, we were just because we had a lot of people in the group. 2 hours in, we were only like 2 miles in, and so so like I told Jaylene she was waiting for me, and so I told her I wouldn't be longer than like X amount of hours, and I think I said 5 hours. Like I don't think I should be any longer than 5 hours. When I did that Monterey Super, it was like 2 hours and 30 minutes, and so I figured. Like, this isn't double the distance of the Super, so I should be able to get it done, but within 5 hours. And because I was walking with the group in the first couple miles and stuff, it ended up taking me like 7 hours to complete. But it was pretty bad. But honestly, it was such an amazing learning experience doing that Big Bear Beast, and it was so much fun. But what I did learn, and I was probably feeling the same thing that you were feeling in your first couple races there, was that the longer the distance that you go, the more damage you really do to your body. Like, you just feel damaged after races like that. I don't know. Like, what are some of the things?
PTSD after I still have PTSD after Big Bear. Like, I still have it.
I mean, that was really brutal. And honestly, like, hips were thrashed. Like, I had to do. We're personal trainers, and we really had to go through like almost a physical rehab of getting reconnected with my hips and reconnected with my glutes and my quads and everything, just because it was all just wasted and thrashed.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you noticed from a race like that from last year even to this year? Because this year seemed like it was worse. I actually did the Big Bear Sprint this year. Were you able to do any of that?
I did not do the sprint. I did the Big Bear Beast, just like, I guess, in late May. And that was just, I knew what I was getting myself into, and I just knew that it wasn't my strongest race. But for races like that, it's just, I use that as kind of like, not a proxy, but it's kind of like I can always use like those awful races. And just be like, okay, well, this isn't like that. Like, if I ran Monterey, and I ran Big Bear, and I've done Vermont, and I've done Palmerton, and I've done Wintergreen, Virginia, which Wintergreen and Vermont are like, and Palmerton, all three of those are like notorious East Coast races that are just like grueling. And so Big Bear is right up there with those races because that was an absolute grueling race. That like, when I'm in a race, I'm like, oh, it's not as bad as like Big Bear, or it's not as bad as like Wintergreen 2014. It's not as bad as Vermont or Palmerton. Like, I always use those, like, it's not bad, it's pretty much worse.
Because you have to push yourself.
Just using those. Yeah, so it's like, so when I was running Monterey last year, I was like, man, this is like a nice 15% grade, like maybe 20% grade uphill. I'm used to this. I'm used to hiking like 40% in like Vermont and like and Palmerton and what's all. Like, run this. Like, don't be a bitch. Like, just run this. Like, keep running. And like, everyone was hiking, and I was like, I'm running it. And I'm like, I feel much better. Like, just having those threshold races, like where it's like, I set the bar. It's not this. And like, so everyone's going to have one. I can always go back and be like, okay, well, it's not the first Spartan race I ever did, which was just horrible. Because obviously, as athletes, we get like fitter as we go on, and so we can always like, it's kind of hard. Like, it's great to race the same venue twice and kind of get a feel for like, okay, I've improved a lot since the last time I was here. So, and you probably had the same thing in Big Bear. I can't go back to like last year's Big Bear and be like, well, I did it in this. I can only be like, oh my gosh, Big Bear this year took me like 3.5 hours to do. I hate beasts, I hate mountains, I hate elevation. It's got all three of those things, so I didn't perform so well, and that's fine. At the end of the day, it's like I knew what to expect because I've done those races on the East Coast, and I was like, it's still not Vermont, it's still not Wintergreen. I mean, I made it through. I looked like I was drunk at the end of it, but like it's just a good way to test yourself and to kind of keep things all in perspective. Because if you just like let races destroy you, then you're not going to have any fun anymore. Like, you just have to, like, okay. And I've talked with other people. Like, I know I had a friend that DNF'd the Ultra in New Jersey, and, she was just, like, upset. Like, I just can't, maybe, like, racing's not for me. I was like, you can't let one race define your career. You can't let it define, like, what it's going to mean for the rest of your time. Like, if you enjoy it, you need to do it. And just remember, we all have bad races. Like, it's hard for you to train for the New Jersey Ultra when you live in Illinois, and it's flat, and there's, like, nothing, like, that you can really do to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, that was something.
I was like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was something that I didn't quite realize, and I was listening to, I think it was the Spartan edition of the Toughest podcast. They recently had an episode where they actually did talk about Spartan races, and I was like, oh, hey, that's interesting. It didn't really dawn on me that, not everyone is going to have a hill in their backyard. I mean, we're lucky to be right in the middle of two really good hills, three really good hills to be able to run in and test our uphill climbing. but not everybody has that available to them. So it really did dawn on me, like you do have to do the best that you can with what you've got, and if you can't, then you really can't be hard on yourself for that. You really can't be hard on yourself.
So I didn't spend a lot of time like beating myself up. I mean, the race did a good enough job beating me up, itself. So I didn't have to add on to it. So I just kind of licked my wounds and prepared for the next race, which is Chicago. That is my terrain. That's my backyard. I know that I'm going to do well there, very much so compared to what I did in Big Bear.
And the other thing too is you get these people who are so set on getting a trifecta and that the Spartan trifecta is the goal. It's kind of like someone who does a 5K, like a regular run, and they walk a little bit and they walk a little bit and they're walking towards the end. They're walking their 5K and they're like, I did it. So now let me try to do a 10K. Oh, that was so much fun. I'm going to try to do a 10K now. When maybe I tell this to my clients, hey, let's sign up for another 5K and let's try to run a little bit more. Let's try to work on our running form. Let's see if we can, calm down our heart rate and have a little more control of that. Let's look at all these other things first and then go ahead and move up to the 10K when we're ready. There's a lot of people who go to Spartan races just to beat up their bodies and get the trifecta, and they're like, all right, well, I want to get 2 trifectas this year. I want to get 3 trifectas this year. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when you're in the position to where you're feeling like your body's being taxed and you don't feel like you're actually improving, you just want to get through it and if you want to improve in these races, I don't know if just doing trifectas every year is the way to do that. And that's kind of what I had decided after my first year of racing. I was like, well, the sprint I felt pretty darn good. The super, I felt like I was unprepared, and then the beast, it just totally wasted my body. And so this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for the sprints, and I'm going to really fight hard to work on my uphill climbing. I'm going to really fight hard to work on my grip strength and obstacle awareness and just doing what I can to be a better racer and a better obstacle course racer, and go for just the sprints this year and see how well I can do with that. And you know what the terrain was at Big Bear. And I got at the sprint for this year, I got an hour and 20 minutes, and and I think I got 18th in that elite wave. So I felt like I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And thank you. I felt like I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I didn't get in the top 10. And I know for sure if I were to do the beast that day, I would have not made it anywhere close to where I wanted to be. But, I was able to work on the things I wanted to work on. And for some people, that may need to be where they put their focus, is instead of putting so much pressure on yourself to get a trifecta, maybe just do the sprints. Maybe give yourself more rest time. I think that's where all of this cryotherapy, the rise of cryotherapy, the rise of these float tanks and all this stuff is because maybe people are stressing their bodies out way too much, and they need these things to get them to a level where they can perform well. And for the elites, that's their job. That's what they do. They do this for money.
Exactly.
But for the average person, they might need to back up a little bit.
I'm not going to disagree with you. But we all have our own different goals, and so just to kind of paint a picture. So we have the people who go out there, and their goal is to get a trifecta. That's fine, especially if they're coming from getting off the couch. It'll ignite the fire in them to see get. And I understand that's what you were kind of saying too. It's just going to get them into the habit of being active. But for people like me, I know that I should be a sprint specialist. I know that even a super is kind of pushing it for me. But when Spartan Race released their point structure for how you can be competitive in the overall point series, I have to do beast now. There's just no. If I want to be competitive, I have to do the West Virginia Beast, the North American Championship, and I have to do Tahoe. And those are 2 races that I was I'm not doing any beast because it takes me so long to recover from them. I'm not well suited for that level of endurance. I'm speed and power, and that's why I should be doing only sprints. And maybe a couple supers that I feel are in my wheelhouse. San Jose was not my best race, but it was. I felt at least I could do it for an hour and 40, an hour and 50 minutes. I would have preferred to have done Seattle, but I skipped it to help with the live feed. Chicago's in my wheelhouse because I shouldn't be on that course longer than an hour and 20 minutes. Like, that's flat, it's fast, it's going to be, I can red line for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I know that's in my wheelhouse. But some of the, like Palmerton, that's not in my wheelhouse because that's a 2-hour race, maybe 2.5 hours because it's on ski mountain. So I just know that I should be doing sprint only, but I've got to do those beats now to be competitive. So you're right, the elite, that's their job. They've got to do those beats. They've got to do the championship races, and they're like catering their training towards it. I'm just not genetically fit for those particular types of race distances.
Yeah, and I think I'm speaking more to like the person who thinks like if I can't get a trifecta, then it's not worth doing a race this year, and that's where I feel like a lot of people are they put too much pressure on themselves to get those things when it's like, why did you fall in love with the sport in the beginning? Like, just go and do a race, if that's what you want to do.
Just go have fun.
Yeah, just go have fun. I think
you don't
people
want to spend 7 hours in like Lake Tahoe running a course that you really don't get enjoyment out of, then don't do it. Like, don't do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. Like, go have fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
And honestly, like taking a break as well. Like, some people don't feel like they can take a break. Like, they're losing something if they don't allow their body to recover for a month or for 3 months or maybe even a year. When you look at any other sport, any other athletes, like sometimes they do need to take that time off in order to become that better athlete so that they can perform better.
Yeah. What are some
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you do for personally for recovery after a race?
I enjoy using like compression boots. I enjoy using my active mobility tools to kind of work loose those trigger points and like those tight muscles. I also make sure that I'm getting good nutrition in my body. Like, I supplement with both these superfoods. I feel like I'm plugging a whole bunch of companies right now, but these are things that I use like daily, weekly, after races.
Yeah.
I'll take like a day off after like a big race or a hard race. And then, I'm right back into like light aerobic activity, like the day after that rest day. And like, I like to move. I don't like to take a lot of extended time off unless I have to for like injury or whatnot or family obligations. But I like to get back into moving because I just feel like that helps me recover faster, along with watching like what I'm eating and making sure I'm using like the right tools to address those problem areas. Because we all get them. Like, we all have something biomechanically that we're doing that's creating overuse injuries or the potential for overuse injuries. It's common unless you're like Nicole Miracle or Rhea Coble. And we'll keep those things loose so I can continue to perform at like the best that I can.
So you don't eat Pop-Tarts and Cocoa Puffs like Hunter McIntyre?
Oh, I don't. I honestly, I'm so envious of their metabolisms and their body's ability to just extract every ounce of nutrition out of like garbage food, like Matt Novakovic. Like, hearing about his diet, like before and after races, I'm like, how did he do it? And he's like 43 years old.
Or like Amelia Boone is like, where the hell does it go?
Oh, exactly. I mean, but like when you're like that type of athlete, your body is just like, it's adapted, and it's like I said, it's just extracting every bit of nutrition from those, like from that stuff that you're putting into your body, from that fuel, and they're still performing at a high level. It's like, if I ate like that, like first I put on at least 20 pounds easily, and not the good kind, and I would just feel like garbage.
Yeah.
Well, as we're wrapping this up, what are something that you would tell someone who is thinking about doing OCR, thinking about signing up for either a Tough Mudder or a Spartan Race or something else local? Like, when someone comes to you and is like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing one of these crazy races here. I'm thinking about, I got the itch for it." What is something that you would tell them?
I would tell them to, if you're preparing for it. Obviously, putting some training. You want to be running. You want to be running at like an aerobic rate, because that's what these races pretty much are. They're 75% like running. So you've got to be prepared for that. Like, if you want to like hike in the woods, that's fine too. I'm just saying, if you want to be that competitive and push yourself, you got to be able to run. Yeah. Working on their grip strength and their ability to like carry things, like functional fitness. And to also not bite off more than they can chew. Like, I have a friend that kind of talked with me a lot, and he did it right. He started small and he worked his way up, and but he also wanted to do like ultras. He wanted to do like 50K and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm glad that he took the time to figure out what he wanted to do, and then just jump right into an ultra. Like that's a big commitment to make for the entire year. So just start small, figure out what suits you, what you like, and sprints, obviously start there. If you're doing like a Tough Mudder, maybe start with like the Tough Mudder half or the Tough Mudder 5K, get a pace for it. Get a Groupon, because that's the easiest way to like not spend a lot of money and still try it to see if it's something that you like.
Totally.
And talk with people. Talk with people when you're there. Like, make friends. Like, it's a great community. We've already discussed that, and like everyone's so warm and welcoming. Mm-hmm. And you're going to make some great friends, and that's going to keep you coming back. So my personal preference is go to Spartan, go to Sprint, and check those out, and then like see how awesome it is, and then maybe sign up for a super. If you want, if you like think that you want a little bit more distance, try the beat. If you're like, a special kind of crazy, and like just go from there. But just like progress into it, and don't like try to burn yourself out, because I think what everyone does, everyone across the board, is they get bit by the OCR bug and they just race every weekend, every distance. It doesn't matter. They're going to be out there.
Totally.
And so what happens after that first year is people just burn themselves out. They're just like, they're injured. Their finances are taxed beyond belief. So just start slow, like, kind of ease into it, and then like see if it's something that you like to do. It probably will be. And then the next year, plan accordingly, make those connections with friends, because when you travel with friends, it's much cheaper and you're not going to break the bank.
Yeah, and you'll probably have more fun doing that as well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Who wants to have dinner by themselves before a race and just be lonely, and then at the starting corral meet some people? Like, you're going to meet people, and then like, hey, I'm going to this race. You don't come with me. Are you going to this race? And figure out what other people are doing, and like plan accordingly. But most important, just don't race every weekend. That's just, you're setting yourself up for disaster and burnout.
Yeah. Totally. And what are some of the gear that you would encourage someone who's going on a race? I would even say, like, if you're just starting off, you could probably expect to be out on a sprint course a little more than an hour. So I would even say it's appropriate to talk about nutrition for that as well. What are some, and you know what? Feel free, if you do have any plugs that you want to insert here, like if you guys have a BROCR affiliation with anybody, you can absolutely plug them here. But what are some of the gear and things that you guys recommend to beginners who are going into races?
First of all, no cotton. Do not wear cotton. You will have a bad day if you wear cotton. So you want to try to find something that's like either dry fit, if you don't feel comfortable in compression gear. But if you can get compression gear, that's like, that's your priority, because it's going to protect your skin from like barbed wire, from mud, from chafing, stuff like that. I use Second Skin in all of my races. The Second Skin's still available online, from what I'm told. The company is kind of like stopped producing new gear.
You said
if you can get your hands on some, that's good.
You said Second Skin? Okay.
Second Skin, you can get it through Dick's Sporting Goods or online at secondskin.com. Also, maybe look at like Human Octane. They make like really good stuff. It's kind of like high-end price-wise, but it's going to last. And in terms of nutrition, I prefer to use Boku Superfood before my race.
I've never heard of that.
They're actually out in Southern California, in Ojai, California. And you can try. If you use code BROCR, it'll get you 20% off and free shipping.
Nice.
I use the Superfood and the Super Fuel every day with my protein shake. Mix it up. I'll have that's a good like 200-300 calories to kind of wake me up before my training or race day. And whenever I'm actually in race, I don't have an affiliation with them, but I love this stuff. I love natural ingredients.
Yeah.
And the Fuel for Fire. It's smaller packs. Just naturally blended stuff. It's got BCAAs, and it's got protein. It's stuff that I need, that whenever I'm doing longer endurance training, that my body breaks down my muscle very fast. And whenever I take Fuel for Fire, I don't feel like the extreme fatigue after a race. Like, even though Big Bear totally crushed my soul, and I was just in shambles for the rest of the day, the next day I felt pretty good. I felt well enough to run after Ray at Coble in some sections with my iPhone and my gimbal to record some content of her doing the obstacles and winning that race. So I believe in Fuel for Fire. It's a great product for your endurance training, for your endurance races. It's well worth the money, and it's about $2 to $3 per pouch, but it's money well spent. Trust me.
Awesome. And do you guys recommend gloves for anybody to wear, or what are your thoughts on the gloves and shoes?
I prefer not having gloves for races, and I'm kind of weird, but I will, whenever I'm doing a lot of grip work, like in my training, I'll tax my calluses in order to prevent me from doing that. I will use a pair of Fitbit gloves. Like I will protect my calluses because I don't want to rip them off during races. I think that's a great way to kind of work your grip strength. And in races, you don't really want to have something on your hands. My personal preference, unless it's extremely dry. If it's really dry, then Twister will probably tear your hands up just because you're getting like so much traction on that. And I always put on my hands before I do a very dry Twister because I want that kind of like give with the bars. But other than that, I like to feel the obstacles. I like to know like what I'm doing, and I think that there's a feel to it that helps me. And I trust my grip strength in wet and dry conditions, regardless.
Yeah. I think I spent when I was starting off my race, I think I spent more time looking for a good OCR glove than actually training my grip strength. So listeners can stop wasting their time on Amazon and go actually into the gym and work on their grip strength. So
absolutely, and one of the big things that I want everyone to do if you're working your grip strength, do not rely on the pads of your hands. Rely on your fingers. Like if you're holding that bar and you feel it pulling on the pads of your hands, you're doing it wrong. You want to use those fingers and grip it like talons. And like once you build that up, your grip strength's going to be good. Any conditions, wet or dry, if you have to fall back on the pad of your hand, got it. You're not going to rip because you still have strong, enduring grip strength.
Yeah,
absolutely, totally. And for shoes, what do you? As I understand it, everybody kind of has their own perspective on what kind of shoe company they like, what kind of shoe they like. What is yours specifically as far as shoes?
I've switched between 3 different types of shoes. So normally last year and like every year before that, I've used the Brumbach Ultra Rain. And the 3.0 that came out last year, those were money. Like those, I never had problems with like ripping or like the size busting out. This year, I'm just kind of switching in between the Ultra King. Kings, I love those for like the longer distance races. Yeah. If it's a fast, muddy course, I use the Hoka Evo Jaws. Those things are gnarly, like aggressive tread, drain water very well, and super light. Like those are my recommendations for shoes this year.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and for being here on our podcast episode. And is there what are some ways that we can reach you and get in contact with your content and BROCR and everything that you're doing right now?
You can search us on Facebook. It's BROCR Media. You can follow us on Instagram. It's @BROCR Media. You can look me up if you want to. I post mainly pictures of my kids and like some funny things and maybe pictures of me out running in the wilderness. Add me on Facebook, Bill Brumbach. It's a public account. Anyone can find me. And you can search me on Instagram @Bill Brumbach OCR. No spaces, no dots, nothing. Just one word altogether, Bill Brumbach OCR. With an H, not a K. A lot of people make that mistake.
Awesome. And when you start having episodes for BROCR, we'd love to talk. We'd love to be a guest on your podcast. So, Jacob, make it happen.
We'd love to have you on. Yes, make it happen.
Let's go, Jacob.
Podcast rolling, absolutely. And if you guys are going to be in Lake Tahoe, California, for the World Championship, we'd love to have you on BROCR, and also I'd like to extend you a formal invitation, and by invitation I mean qualification. You guys have qualified for the BROCR World Championship in Lake Tahoe, California.
Woo!
Yeah.
Start training now.
We will start our training right now. We're just going to take these headphones off and start running.
We will start yesterday.
Yes. Awesome. I love that mentality.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
I love being on. Appreciate you having me on, and great chatting.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Actually, we know you enjoyed this episode.
That's right. If you made it this far, at least, then you must have liked something, because you're still listening right now.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
There you go.
So if you want to listen to more of us, then you can go ahead and click that subscribe button on the podcast of ACT Fitness Radio so that you can be informed when more new episodes show up.
And since you love what you hear so much, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review.
And if you'd like to get more free fitness content from us, you can go to our website, www.actfitnessacademy.com, and visit our Instagram at ACT Fitness Academy.
Till next time, guys. Peace.
Peace.